The way I see is that in IT industry, you start as a worker. In a factory, you start as a manager. When you work in the remote areas, you need to be a servant leader. There is a book, I think, called Servant Leadership. The book talks about this big boss asking all the people, how can I help you? If you think that you need to do something right, just do it. Two safety checks you do, that there will be no explosion and nobody will die. And now let us say we are growing at a rate of 6 to 7%. If mining is affected, it will come down to maybe 2 to 3%. This industry is also glamorous. Think about all the top guys in this industry. Tatas, Birlas, Lakshmi Mittal, Anil Agrawal. They are all from the mining and metals industries.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mind Over Minerals, a podcast by Inocule where we deep dive into the mindset and mastery that builds great businesses. In today's podcast, we spoke about the silent powerhouses of this country, the mining and manufacturing sector, which quietly shapes the economy and the prosperity of the nation. And in today's podcast, we are joined by Vibhu Mishra, who has had an illustrious career serving at CXO level at Hindalco and Vedanta. Currently, he is the advisor at Hindalco and the director of two companies. In this podcast, there were many key insights and takeaways which will be helpful for every professional and entrepreneur. So let's see how it goes.
So welcome to Mind Over Minerals. It's an initiative by Inocule where we discuss the stories of leaders in manufacturing industries and deep tech companies.
Yeah.
So happy to have you here.
Thank you.
So I will, sir, I have gone through your profile. I know that you are from son of the land, and then you did your engineering here, went to different countries to work, and then finally as a chief manufacturing officer in a 21 US billion dollar conglomerate in Hindalco.
Yeah.
So illustrious career. So, but what I want to, in this context, what I want to know is, what do you think, what has gone right in all these years, which has helped you to reach the milestone that you have done in your careers?
Okay, if I think what has gone right, there is a Robert Frost has written a poem long time back. I think what it says is that there are two roads, and going to the wood, the one which is less traveled, I took that road, and I achieved everything. That is the theme of that song or the poem. What I have done is that I have taken very calculated risks, but consistently I have taken risks, and these risks have made the difference. When I was doing my engineering from NIT Rourkela, that time the employability of engineers was extremely low. That time, 1984, the unemployment rate was so bad that even many engineers in Bhubaneswar, they were doing shoe polish to protest to Biju Patnaik ji, who was the chief minister at that time. So finally, he decided that okay, each video, let them take one engineer, and that is how he solved the problem in a brute way. But that was the time. But from that time, I took a lot of calculated risk. When I went to Bahrain after 4 to 5 years working in Nalco, which was a good company at that time, and everybody was predicting that okay, you can go up to a general manager level easily, and I was a GT. And after when I left after 5 6 years, it was a risk. I went to Bahrain, Aluminium Bahrain, one of the largest aluminium manufacturing companies. But in the job condition, it was that past 3 months, any day we can remove you. Okay. After that, we can give you a some amount, and we can give you, and the total job period is 3 years. So I went that one. I worked there for around 8 years, and when I wanted to leave them, and they were telling that you are one of our top employees, please don't leave. So you create those sort of opportunities by taking small risks. Then I thought of having an African safari, went to Africa for thinking of going for 1 year, but ended up finishing there 9 years. And my children will still say that, look, Africa is the best place in the world. We should be there. Okay,
Mhm.
so I've taken a lot of calculated risks.
I know that you are a avid reader.
Yeah.
So tell us like what has like how you have developed this habit and generally how many books you read per year.
See what I do when I started my job, fast money. I started buying books. So that time it was all from the roadside, Calcutta, second-hand books or uh, reprinted illegally. Those sort of books, 10 rupees, 20 rupees. I started from that. Later on, I realized that there is so much of knowledge already in the book, so you need not do too much of research. You can use many of those books to your advantage for your career, for your knowledge, and all that. So then I decided to read almost a one book per month. So in an overall, I read around 12 books in a year.
Oh.
That is the minimum.
Mhm. Why did you feel that reading book is you should develop a habit? And generally, if I'll tell you my stories, I generally I don't like reading. पढ़ना अच्छा ही नहीं लगता तो आपने कैसे डेवलप किया? जनरली ये नहीं होता है.
See, many times we don't like to read because also we don't know how to read. There is a book called, again, another book called speed reading.
Okay.
So if you are reading fast, you not only get more knowledge, but also you accumulate lot of knowledge because it will be automatically summarized and it will be kept in the brain. So uh, I started with speed reading. When I was in the school, in a small note, I used to write down how many watts per minute. Later on, of course, I realized that it's a sophisticated way and there is a lot of research and all it has happened. And then I started increasing the speed, sometimes reading fictions to increase the speed. Then you come back to non-fiction. So I combined all those and I made it a habit. Earlier, when I was not having the opportunity to read so many books or I was not having the money to buy, I used to read a book and summarize in 2 to 3 pages. So 2 or 3 pages summarize the book. So that is how you also retain a lot of those knowledge.
That's so
Somebody has
important.
already done the work, knowledge is available, so why not
Hmm.
use it?
I think we miss as a I and most of the people miss that step. That's
Yeah,
why the retention is very less. We
yeah,
don't retain क्या पढ़ा है, भूल जाते हैं, book
yeah,
पढ़ा और
yeah,
फिर भूल जाते हैं.
yeah.
That's a very important point.
You
So
can almost normally if you take somebody, a normal reader, they may be reading almost 100 to 200 words per minute, but that can very easily go up to 500. 500 is a very decent level, but those who are reading a lot, scholars doing their PhDs and all, they go up to at least 1,000 words per minute.
oh,
But at least if you reach around 400, 500 watts per minute, that is a good one. That means almost one page, 1.5 page in a minute.
okay. Nice. So coming back to your education in NIT Rourkela, has that helped? How that experience has helped? Because I think there are many viewers who will be from NIT and IITs. They'll also like to know that somebody in today's days, nobody wants to come to this
Yeah.
non-glamorous industry.
Yeah.
So I think that your
Uh,
insights from that.
yeah. And see, NIT Rourkela, the way it is structured is great. In this sense, 50% of the students come from outside and 50% from Odisha. So it is a cultural mix, understanding others, tolerating them, learning from them. All those things happen there, and that gives you a strong base. I think compared to many IITs, where it is IITs are more like the regional players. In our time, we have seen that the NITs had the best mix. You will have definitely few guys from Northeast, somebody from Kashmir, few international students, maybe from Nepal. So that mix and all that gives you lot of confidence also when you go and work abroad. You know that okay, I can work these people. I stayed with some of the foreigners for 5 years or 4 years in engineering college, and they are no different from us. That is the that internalization also builds a lot of confidence when you go and work outside.
Like what you are mentioning is that diversity has helped, and of course rigor of their education तो है ही है.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
that is always there. That is
I think
always.
at that time IITs तो बहुत ही कम होते थे, तो NITs are the
Yeah,
main, as you said, the main. और IIT में क्या होता है कि मोस्टली being I am from IIT में मोस्टली थियोरेटिकल काम बहुत ज़्यादा होता है.
yeah.
The real, I think, the core that happens in NIT and RECs. So that might have helped you also.
In fact, many of the students from IITs at that time, they used to have the ambition of going and working abroad. Of course, there are that also helps the country and country's image. And if you see all the CEOs in USA, they are from India. They went almost at that time, 1980 to 90, maybe around that time. Most of them they went. So it has got its. So while uh, IITs were sending abroad, so NITs guys were running the country.
Yes. बदमाशी नहीं किया है आपने?
No, not much, not much. Except for sometimes going to the uh, you know going for the
Girls hostel? No.
fast day movie and all that.
Nice. You mentioned about Bahrain, and then you have also mentioned about South Africa. You have worked in Nalco, then came back to India for Aditya Birla. So, aluminium, same sector, but then different countries. So, what is the difference? What did you find culturally, operationally? How is it different in different countries and different companies also?
When I started with Nalco, it was a new technology, and we were all new. Lot of young people. We started the company, and we had many confusion, many great moments, and many good mentorship. With all that we were doing, when I went to Bahrain, it is a much more disciplined. It's they have got a very well established. By that time, it was more than 20 years. The plant was operating. Lot more discipline. You understand the disciplines, how having standard operating procedures, honoring them, and all that enhances the productivity, reduces risk. These are some of the things you learn from Bahrain.
So that time the Bahrain industry was 20 years old, and in India, what is the age
India,
of?
we started Nalco as the
Okay.
fast-based GTs. 1984, we started as fast-based GTs. We had many experienced people who came from other aluminum industries, but it was a new one. It was a greenfield. Okay, so when we went to Bahrain, first thing it was a culture-wise it is different. We were also quite worried that we are going to a Muslim country, and we were young also. I think I was 28 or 29-year old, and somebody told that look, it is such a strong cultural country and all. You need to be very very careful. Don't tell anything against the king. Don't tell anything about the religion, and ladies, you don't never look at their eye. You will be in big trouble. So I still remember when I bought my first car from one of my Bahraini colleagues, and the car was being used by his wife, and then when she was looking at me, I was you know I didn't want to end up in jail. But that is how you slowly learn about the culture. Later on, I realized that that is not true, but that is how you learn about the culture. When I went to Africa, it was another uh, experience. There are I had many juniors, but they are big, highly built African guys, at least 1 or 2 feet taller than me. And when you give them order, you look like this. Then, of course, I returned back to Vedant fast in Balko Korba. But Balko is more or less like, Orissa culture and all. Chhattisgarh is very close to Orissa. And culturally also, we are very similar. And then I came to Sambalpur and the other places.
So country-wise, like your experience there, what as a country we can actually adopt from those experiences जो कि वहाँ पर होता है. Of course, the industry is more mature, as you said, it's 21 when at that time we were starting. So क्या कर सकते हैं? What we can take from them?
I think any industry or any organization to thrive, it has to have certain level of discipline. I've seen the level of discipline. It is much higher in many other countries. They may not be very rich, but discipline-wise, many countries are much superior. And maybe because of our population pressure, or the we might be having certain issues here, but discipline is quite important in many of these countries. I remember one incident. Uh, Discipline and honoring your time commitment. Like, in India, we don't worry. If you are late by 10-15 minutes, okay, it is 15 minutes. When you meet also, you don't say that I'm sorry, I'm late by 15 minutes. We never say. Like, I'm 5 minutes late. I never told you that I'm sorry. That is the way we are. I remember that in uh, when I was in Mozal, one of my counterpart who was an Australian had promised to finish some job at a particular time, and then of course it was the shift change, and then a new shift will come, and we know that there is a gap. So even if he finishes 15 minutes late, it is not going to affect anything on my part of the factory. But 10-15 minutes before that, he called and he was very apologetic. Oh my god, I made such a mistake. My time estimation was bad and all. And of course, and he was sorry, and profusely sorry. Then it took me a while to digest what wrong the guy has done to say so much sorry. But later on, I also learned to certain extent that you need to be very committed to your time. If you are not able to do a job, in our Oriya culture, we have again kali kariwa. Sir, eta kardiyo na kali kariwa. That is a very very bad thing. It even some of the people who are not from Orissa, they also pick up this. Okay, they see that in Orissa kali kariwa. So some of the time uh, relativity,
Yeah.
time's relativity, it differs from country to country.
Oh, that's so important. Yes, as a country, we have to learn a lot from
Yeah,
other countries. Even
yeah,
recently, I also visited few countries. I
yeah.
found the same, like the in China and then Indonesia, the same thing. Beside this, this is behavioral. In technology, also, you think there are which they are superior or
No, technology is always evolving. In a big factory where I have worked or I have done many projects, you have got a challenge. The challenge is that on one hand, you have got your standard operating procedures, you need to honor them. The reason you want to honor them is that you are working at very, very abnormal situations. Abnormal situations in terms of temperature. Temperature can be 600,000 degrees centigrade. High pressure, maybe compared to the normal, maybe you are working at 8, 10, sometimes 100 times more. So, with all those sort of things, the risk levels are high, and they are managed by, of course, having the right equipments, right maintenance practices, and all that. But on top of that, having the discipline which comes from the standard operating procedures. That is where I see that we can have it binds us. In a big company, you will find that it binds us. So people don't get that opportunity also to do sometimes innovation, to tweak the system, to change a little bit. So in those areas, there are certain constraints. But if you see the technology is changing, upgrading, and all, and people, they must have that know how, that is enough to run a plant. So it sometimes puts you in a corner or puts you in a basket, but that is okay, and you need to honor that. So that way, if you see from country to country, no, not much, not much different. More disciplined plants will have more disciplined operators who follow the standard operating procedures. And when it comes to doing innovation, so many times these big companies are not very innovative, and that comes as also a problem. But these problems are also properly managed. Like if you think about the Toyota way, they've got a high Japanese culture, and at the same time, they have got a very, very structured innovation. So that structured innovation combined with the standard operating procedure and all, that is ultimately the Toyota way, which is basically followed up by almost all the companies in the world now.
So if you can kind for our viewership, if you can actually explain what is structured innovation, that is not innovation is not by chance, but
Yeah.
by
So
as a system.
in a structured innovation, what you do, you observe certain problems. And because there are ultimately when you want to bring in a change that may affect so many areas. Suppose you want to put a new machine in a part of the plant, it may draw more current, so the transformer may be overloaded, you may need more compressor. So many other areas may get affected. What you need to do is that first thing you need to understand with the data and all, what is the problem. That problem has to be properly defined, and that is to be agreed with a group of people that yes, this is the problem. The elephant should not be seen differently by different people. All the people must sit down together and define the elephant first. So once you define the elephant, that okay, this is the thing, then you go for the solutions. And then the way the solutions are to be derived, there are also certain structured way. Why analysis, and there are Six Sigma and other data related things. So based on data, you are doing the analysis. So you take this sort of tools, analyze the data or the problem, and then you come to the solutions. And once the solutions are there, then you also do a risk analysis. If I do this one, what is going to happen? If I do this one, what is going to happen? That sort of a proper risk analysis is done. Then it is implemented. And once it's implemented also, it is checked from time to time that is it solving our problem? Is it creating some other problem? So those sort of things are seen and they are corrected. So there a lot of innovation comes. Uh, in a in a way, let me put it this way: most of the aluminum plants in the world, they run at least 5 to 10% more than their rated or designed capacity. That comes from innovation. That sometimes it's called production creep. People do small innovations all throughout and all, and ultimately you will see that suddenly you are producing more with the same number of people or same technology you are producing. So those sort of things are coming from small innovations all throughout.
Hmm. Okay. So you mentioned about in different countries, technology broadly same.
Yeah,
So they are ahead a bit in terms of discipline.
discipline,
And then third point is a structured innovation. So
structure.
with all this together, are we behind in terms of the numbers productivity figure, or we are matching per ton of say aluminum production, the power consumption or CO2 emission? We are at par, or we are India is lagging behind, or
No, India is very good in these areas. Like say, I'm in the aluminium making, and aluminum and power plants. I know a lot of those data, and wherever uh, when we compare this, you will find that lot of innovation over the years has gone to this. Think about Hindalco. We have got two new aluminum plants. Latest technology, one is in Aditya Aluminium, which is in Lapanga, Sambalpur. The other one is Mahan, which is in MP. So these are the latest technology, and there are almost 20 plants like this throughout the world. And luckily, with the technology provider, we have got the ability to look at all these technical parameters of all these plants. So we are able to compare our plants with the plants in Australia, Canada, USA, Greenland, Europe, France. Okay, we are able to, of course, Middle East. We can compare all that, and you will find that our parameters are equally good, and many of our parameters are also better than their parameters. So sometimes, like they come and ask us, okay, how do you do this? And we also ask. So we are at that level. But the beauty of the other aspect is that, let us say, in aluminum making, almost 40% of the cost comes from power. Okay, it is so much power dependent. So we look. at the amount of power which goes into making a ton of aluminum. So if you've got a modern plant, you use less power. We have got a plant from 1962 in Renukot, Hindalco. It's a very old technology. Similar plants are no more existing in the rest of the world. They're all demolished. But this plant, over the time, because with the continuous improvement, the plant is now okay. This energy consumption which we discussed just now, on that they are at par with the latest plant. So up to that level they have improved. So some places they use copper instead of aluminum. They use copper, but that is an innovation which they have done, and on top of that they have improved lot of places. The innovations which they have done, from that the new plant has also something to learn. So key is also here the how much the management is tolerant and how much they are able to spend. Many companies or many leaders you will see, they are risk averse. They will not take the risk. Okay, why to take the risk? And some leaders they will allow you to take risk. Over the years, I think many of those leaders who have given that opportunity, that free hand and all, that has made the difference for the plant in Renukot.
In general, in India, this is promoted, taking risk in the plant and doing these innovations, incremental innovations, not only specific to, let's say, Hindalco, in general, because you have
I
seen.
think yes. In general, when we started our Maruti car manufacturing, with that one we got lot of Japanese influence in our Indian industries, and I think that will be around 1980 or so, 75 to around 1980. The Japanese, Suzuki, Maruti Suzuki car came into place. So with that one, we got lot of innovation and lot of thought processes came from Japan. Of course, if you go to the depth of that Japanese process, you will find that it is also the Indian process or the way we think. When you see a Japanese, they are in the factory. They think that they are in a temple. Okay, so a lot of those concepts are basically coming from India, but it is
We have forgotten.
it has gone there, and they have been internalized in a way, and they are utilizing for the present day living. So these sort of things, it is allowed in India. Most of the plants, you will find that simple things like 5S training, that is become a standardized thing. Many of these quality circles, they are also quite prevalent. And from that, I think many companies they get good benefits.
Okay.
In fact, I had visited at one time the factory, the Hero motorcycle factory. It is near Delhi. So there you will find that some of the Indian plant productivity, it is better than the Japanese plant, and they use some of the equipment. When you buy the equipment, it is all capex, a lot more money. And in India, we are, we think very well before spending money on capex. So they've got some of the Japanese equipments rejected by the Japanese company. They have put it here, and our Indians have done innovation on top of that, and they do a good job.
Nice. So a lot of things are happening, though it is, but somehow this, because it's not that glamorous, it doesn't come to the limelight.
Yeah.
तो हमें पता नहीं चलता है. Shifting the gear a bit, जैसे अब हम लोग ये बात कर रहे हैं
No, but
manufacturing.
this industry is also glamorous. Think about all the top guys in this industry. Think about Tatas, Birlas, okay, Lakshmi Mittal, Anil Agrawal. Okay, all these famous names, if you see,
नहीं,
they're all from the mining and metals industries.
यंगर जनरेशन इज नॉट, दैट इज माय नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. इज जनरली हमारे लिए लगता है कि बहुत हार्ड वर्क है, हाँ ये सब नहीं हो पाएगा, हम तो जाके आईटी में करेंगे, वाइट कॉलर शर्ट टाई पहनेंगे, दैट इज व्हाट वी वांट. मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इज फ्रॉम, इफ आई टेल माय स्टोरी, हमारे बैच में कोई केमिकल में है ही नहीं. आई एम ए केमिकल इंजीनियर, बट नोबडी इज एक्चुअली रिलेटेड टू केमिकल इंजीनियरिंग. सो व्हाट डू यू थिंक, बिकॉज नाउ दैट आपने पूरा इतना एक्सपीरियंस देखा है ना, ऑल्सो यू वर्क विथ startups, you are in the board. So what is the mindset? Do you think it is changing? How we can improve, or is it required? What is your views on this?
First thing, when you start in a company, in a plant or a mine and all, you straight away you are positioned as a leader. Whether you have having the qualification or not, suddenly, let us say you have got a group of diploma holders, maybe 5, 10 years experience, maybe a group of diploma holders, and there are some workers from your company, maybe. So maybe they are just normal graduates or maybe matriculates, and there may be a group of contract laborers who may not be even, they might not have finished school, but for that group of 20, 30 people, you are the big boss. And so that way, if you see, there is a career leapfrogging which happens because you are in a company. Imagine, on the other hand, you choose the easy life and you go to the IT. What do? You do your programming and all. So it is in the plant, you have the workers, you are using most of their hands and legs and a little bit of brain, maybe, okay, following the SOP. Now these guys who are in the IT, okay, they are like the, I see them as workers. When they enter inside, they're workers. Okay, you use their brain, but for all the dull works also, writing the program. I bought my first computer in 1986. Okay, it was a Commodore 64. So that time basic programming and
Oh,
all
you
I was
did.
doing.
Oh.
It's very boring. Okay, it is very boring. The creative aspect is also not that great. Of course, the things have changed and all, but you know, so the way I see is that in IT industry you start as a worker. Okay, in a factory you start as a manager. So there is a big difference here. Maybe this worker one day in the IT industry will go up in 5 years or so, but by that time the other one who is here has learned. He has got that 5 years of experience. So there is a, yeah, it's a big difference. Ultimately, if you want to head organization, you want to be a big manager, and that is where you are aspiring in your career. So that makes a big difference.
Any other? Because actually I think salary is also one of those criteria. क्योंकि बीच में ये हुआ था, I think 90s, the difference between the salaries of core and probably the ITs were substantial. तो probably उसके वजह से भी होता था. तो अभी
Hmm.
do you think that is the reason? Because we don't get people, good people basically from good colleges. So they don't stay. They don't, even if they will stay for, let's say, 1 year, 2 year, they will go and do MBA and then change the stream. That is happening.
Yeah. See, that is more of a Indian trend, maybe because of the unemployment pressure. There was, unemployment, and from that there is a risk and all. But from time to time there may be a disparity between job at different levels in the organizations, the salary and all that there will be. But you will find that our industries now, they pay quite well. Our public sectors, they've improved.
Yeah.
Even the private sector, they also pay quite well. So pay wise, I don't see there is a big difference. And also, the way your career moves. If your career is moving fast and all, which can happen in a industry which is less traveled. Okay, so in that area, if you are doing, you have got a better chance of having a nice and long career. Now, I don't think anybody will dare. Like today morning, it was in that Oracle had
Yeah.
sent 2,000 employees pink slip. Nobody in this, I can tell from here that whether you look at all these big companies, okay, whether it is Tata Steel or Vedant or any of these big companies, okay, they can't remove 20,
many.
30,000 of their people. The plant will collapse the next day.
Yeah.
So as an employee, or the value, the way the employer also sees you is with a lot more respect.
Yeah, that's a actually very good point. I think I never occurred to me.
Yeah.
The from employer's point of view,
Yeah.
the respect
Imagine,
is much more.
imagine in your in your business also. If 8 to 10 lower level guys leave, you will get crazy.
Yes.
It is almost like, if you think that 10% are going, you'll say, you'll run to their house. Can you please stay?
Yeah, yeah. सर जैसे आपने ना आपका जो द होल करियर में आप यू हैव डन प्रोजेक्ट्स, प्रोडक्शन, सेफ्टी, सस्टेनेबिलिटी, सो मेनी थिंग्स. सो which is closer to your heart out of this?
See, I enjoy when I'm in the field, working with the people. Because when I go to the field, many of the problems which you can't see sitting in the office or in a meeting, that you can know when you are in the field. I'll give you one example. There was a project which was going delayed. There were a lot of reasons when you sit in the Bombay office. It is the COVID, the people have gone out, they are not available. They have got festival. In West Bengal, there is election. All these stories you hear when you are sitting in the Bombay and the project is not happening. So when I went to that site, so first I decided, okay, the worst contractor, the worst performing contractor, I want to go. So I went there. Then, it was a tall structure and they were building and it was going late. I asked the guys, okay, why don't you ask the guy who is doing the welding to come down? They told, no, it takes a lot of time. I told, but I have come from Bombay to meet him. So finally, it took 20 minutes, everybody standing in the sun. Uh, so sometimes I do that also
Deliberately.
to make sure that that office habit is gone. So I deliberately I can stand for half an hour, so you also stand with me. So I do that one sometimes with
Yeah.
juniors. So the guys finally came down, and when I asked them why the structure is not happening, why you are not doing, then they started giving the standard answers that we can do this much of welding in a day. I told, but the number I have calculated, you are not able to do that. Then I encourage them to get some of their relatives from their villages and all, if you want more people and all. Finally, one of the guys told me that these welding electrodes are bad because his boss and all are around. He was not telling. So when I started probing and I didn't give him any escape route, finally he told that. Then we checked, we found that the welding electrodes are really bad. So think about the guy going 12-meter height and using the welding electrodes, they are bad. So I discarded that, and immediately from another contractor we organized to give them the electrodes, and that improved. So sometimes going to that level and talking, that I enjoyed. The reason I'm explaining now is also I enjoyed doing things like that. Then you see, uh, so the guy who is at the front line, talking to him, understanding the problem from his perspective and all, that is quite challenging.
Like you mentioned about sitting in the head office, but ground reality कुछ अलग होता है. So for a C-suite leader, occasionally ground में तो जाना ही है, जैसे आपने
Yeah,
बताया.
yeah.
But how to oversee then actually how you have done this? You have not done only in India. Probably in Bahrain also you have executed projects, and in I think you said about modern aluminum industry in Aditya Aluminum in
At aluminium,
Lepanga.
yeah, yeah.
That also you have executed. So what have been your success mantra in all these?
See, one success mantra I teach to all the people with whom I work, and especially with the engineers. I say that being successful in an industry is extremely easy. It is so easy that I'll be surprised that in case you fail, I'm going to be surprised because I'm giving you the mantra. So it is like I say something. I say QSCSM. Okay, so that is the mantra. Total mantra is QSCSM.
What is that?
Okay, so Q stands for quality. Okay, S stands for speed. Okay, C stands for cost. Okay, the other S stands for sustainability, and M is for morale, team morale.
Okay.
Every day you must scan for all these things. If they are all happening, you are able to do that on a daily basis. Running a plant up to a plant manager level is extremely easy. So every day you must give that time. It looks so simple, but I have seen also so many people failing. One of the managers in one of the huge plant, and he was in charge of the cast house. He was not safety conscious, and I had told him lot of time. Everybody knew that the guy is not safety conscious, and the company is safety conscious. So his days were being numbered. So later on, I left that place. When I tried to teach him and all, he will have all the excuses. Later on, I moved to another job, and maybe after a year, he called me one day and told that, look, now they have shunted me out. I'm no more in charge of this and all. But I don't understand what is my mistake. Then I told, okay, I had told you so many times that it is this safety thing which you are not doing, and that's a part of this QSCSM, so safety. And later on, when I cross checked, I found that that was the reason.
Oh.
So maybe I was a bit tolerant, and he was almost like a senior management level. He was heading a cast house, huge cast house. So it's a very respectable person. He lost that. So these are all simple things, but you must do every day. So in a way, 20% of my time must go for quality, 20% for cost. Like that, if you put so on and so forth, you'll be extremely successful.
Balance is a challenge. I think कभी कभी होता है ना
Yeah.
we have to do this pricing, sustainability, and then safety.
Yeah.
How do, like, what is your insight in that?
I'll give you one example. And my juniors sometimes, they think that, working with me can be very tough. One day, uh, I was doing this Aditya project. It is a $2.5 billion project. When it was coming to operation, and we were struggling with millions of things, one day I was returning back from the plant, from my office around 7:38 p.m. Then suddenly I remembered that, okay, QSCSM, oh, on safety I have not done anything. But I was determined that before I reach home, I must give at least a tick mark to the safety. I can't live that day without a tick mark to the safety. So I looked around and all. I saw a few of the lights were not on. So I thought, okay, I got something. The main road of the plant, the lights are not on. So immediately I called the guy who was in charge. Okay, he might have reached home tired and all. And when I told him that, look, the lights are not there, what is your system? Why the lights were not replaced? Are you not having the lights? All those things when I inquired and all, he felt so ashamed. He asked me, shall I go and replace now or can we have it tomorrow? I told, no, we can have it tomorrow. Don't worry. I just wanted to check that, you have got the ball, we have got the contractor, the people are ready to do the job and all. And then even now, after 10 years, he says, sir, that light thing I can't forget. But that is how you build some of these things. It is a lot of discipline, yes. It is discipline. But you need to do these 5 things. It is just 5 things. That's all.
And balancing. So basically what happens is sometimes we take something will take it over. But I think what you are saying is kabhi 10 will become 20, but at least our focus shouldn't be lost from that.
Imagine one day I have not done anything on the cost.
Okay.
And now I am visiting one area in the plant. And then I see some oil leakage. I can just ask the operators or the people who are maintainers, what is the per liter cost and how much you have lost? Only those 2 questions. You don't need to do anything. But that day you have contributed something to the cost of the organization. So simple things like this. But it must be that checklist must be at the back of your mind.
Okay, this is a good mantra. I'll also remember. So manufacturing is all about remote location, tough conditions. तो उसमें leadership को कैसे test करते हैं? Because actually we have to achieve in spite of all these difficulties. So what has been how you have tackled it?
See, when you are in that leadership position, you will be checked by everyone all throughout. So in a way, people look up at you, because if you are in a senior position, people will look up at you, trying to see what you are doing. So in a way, you are in the limelight. So that could be a bit embarrassing sometimes, or a bit problematic sometimes, but that is okay. You need to be in that. I will give you one example where uh, you know people challenge you. Like one of my esteemed junior guys, he challenged me on safety. He told that, look, you come to my place, you can't find anything unsafe. So I accepted the challenge. I went there. I spent 2 hours, and genuinely, he had maintained the area in an excellent way. So for the next 10 days, wherever I went, I told them that you go to that area and see. Okay. So that way, what happens? First thing, you acknowledge the person. Okay. You don't take it as a
Ego.
personal challenge. You take it as it's a, what you call, it's like a friendly challenge. Okay. Or you have gamified it. If you take it as an ego, it is a problem. But if you have gamified it by saying that, okay, let us go see your area, and you ask another 10 people to go and see that. So that way you maintain a nice place. Then also, when you work in the remote areas, one thing you need to be is that uh, you need to be a servant leader. There is a book, I think, called Servant Leadership, and the book talks about this, the big boss asking all the people, how can I help you? When we were starting this Aditya aluminum plant, it was almost halfway between Jharsuguda and Sambalpur, and we started staying in the colony, and nobody wanted to have a medicine shop there. And imagine if somebody's child is sick in the middle of the night, they want a paracetamol, they must go to Sambalpur. So company had its rules. By violating many of these standard rules and all, I asked somebody to open a small, small medicine shop. And the guy was so good that in case somebody calls and asks the medicine, if he's not having, one guy from his office will go to Sambalpur and get the medicines. So with that sort of thing, it made sure that people get the service. So that is a part of the servant leadership. You need to do some of those things. Some of the and many of the people, they try to see, and they connect themselves to the organization when they observe these sort of things. We used to have some of the accidents, and in case of an accident, especially contractors, the contractor has to spend the money for the treatment. So what they used to do, they used to take to the cheap hospital in Sambalpur or government hospital. Then I thought, look, being in Hindalco, somebody working in a Hindalco project and gets injured, that person must get the best treatment. So I used to send them to Cuttack or Bhubaneswar, to the best, Apollo, or we had another hospital in Cuttack. I used to send them. So with that one, there was a confidence level that something goes wrong with us, the company, our company, and the and Hindalco, they are going to take care of us. So that had created a lot of positivity. When we had this COVID, in COVID wave, and we were doing a project in very remote plant, Utkal Alumina. Uh, okay, that time what we did, we decided to sanction the money, almost 20 crore for that plant, so that they can buy an MRI. You remember around second wave of this, everybody told that the brain gets affected and you must have the MRI. Okay, we told that, okay, take this 20 crore, immediately make the MRI, get the MRI. But in between also, if somebody gets affected, whether it is a contractor or our own employee or anyone, you can send to Vizag, and the best hospital and all, we give the free treatment. So those sort of things makes lot of difference. The other thing, when it comes to testing the leadership, some of the things are like, communication is one thing you need to keep on trying. In a way, in one of the companies where I was working, safety results were bad. So we had a communication. And I insisted that this communication must go to the lowest level. And it took us 2 to 3 months. So my job was to find a person in the company who has not been communicated. So I used to go and check the guy who is cutting the grass. Did somebody? So no sir, nobody has told me. Then I used to say, okay, safety department, come here. I found one guy who is not trained on the safety. But what happens is that with this sort of things, it in a fun way, the whole organization changes
Yeah.
without realizing or without going through a unnecessarily pain. The whole organization changes, and it changes towards a positive side. When you do this sort of things, uh, it automatically improves productivity. You get all the benefits because people think that they're a part of that organization.
Yeah, very useful. Yes, actually, one is the remote location. I think my next question also you answered, because remote location and then people, because people in a remote location, that becomes an additional challenge.
Additional challenge.
So
Yeah.
I think what you point, the examples that you have given, that actually covers that by communicating and also creating some extra facility, we'll be able to tackle those. So
And many times, senior management or the big bosses in an organization, they think that, it is below my dignity, or, I will not do, or they will do some of the thing which they are not supposed to do. I had one safety officer, the guy without helmet, he was going in the township. But you can't head safety of the company, tell everyone to wear helmet in the plant and ride a scooty without helmet. So this sort of things. So one of the rule, if somebody is interested, you need to think, this public is public sab janta hai. They know everything. So if you take that as your mantra, then even if you are 200 kilometers away from the plant, you will not ride a scooty without having wearing a helmet. Because maybe that day one guy has come and he is going to report, and then your image is gone. So when it comes to a leadership, you have to be a true leader, and that is a real challenge.
being an example is always a challenge,
Yes.
because the discipline, as you mentioned, the discipline is required.
Discipline is required.
So is there any story in your life where the ground problem and technical problem was simple, but alignment was was difficult, and you had to try different methods, or probably it was difficult to sort that out?
See, when I started my career in Nalco, we lot of new people, and we were starting the plant. So we were having almost 8 teams doing more or less same work, but with different level of problems. So my manager decided that all 8 teams, you take all the problematic guys, okay, put them in one team, and don't demand anything from this team. But at least that will filter out the problems. So 7 teams will run smoothly, one team will run bad. So that job was given to me. That time I had not seen that movie, Do Aankhe Bara Haath, Santaram's movie. I had not seen that one. But the incentive for me was that nobody is going to ask me any question, whether I produce or So then I thought that okay, let me take this group. So I was happy, and I started with this team. So initially, for everybody it looked like this team is going to fail and it's okay. But when we started from that, and I talked to these guys, finally we realized that the team is doing better than the other teams, and sometimes some of the things we did with the same problematic operators, we did better than the rest of the other teams. And in fact, we saved life of one person, okay, who got injured in a separate incident, not related to us, our team, or anything. He got in another incident. But two of the people who are that time considered as very very tough operators and all, they told me, sir, let us take him, and we'll take him to Kotak. 70% burn injury. We all worked and we saved him. He's still a good friend of mine. He's here. Okay,
So,
so we could do that.
so what worked here? What is the learning here when we
The
actually?
learning is that, when you have got authentic conversation, okay, you authentically you put the problem. People come forward and they will give you the right solution. Another example, when I was in Bahrain, my team was never finishing the job because I was the only Hindu head, and all my operators were Muslim. It was a Muslim country. So when they used to ask me for namaz, I used to say, okay, go for namaz. So 5 times namaz, and at least 1 or 2 times in any shift, it used to get affected, and my productivity of my team used to get affected. So one day I asked all of them that, look, compared to other teams, our performance is bad. Then that and most of that is happening at the end of the shift when you all go for namaz. Then they told, but why don't you stop us? I told, how can I stop you? You are all Muslims, and if I stop you, it will be haram, and you will create. I will have problem. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll be in the jail. They told, no, no, no. You are our boss. So if you tell us not to go for the pray and finish the job, or if you tell us finish the job then go for prayer, then that is okay. I was not sure. I was very young, also 29 or so. So I cross checked with so many other people. I realized that okay, that is fine. So we implemented that solution. So they will call, okay, Mishra, can I go for pray? I said, no, you finish the job, then go for pray without asking me. So he finishes the job, he goes for pray. So the problem was solved. Simple problem, not technical problem, but also instead of creating a cultural disharmony or something, we did it in a very simple and productive way.
Yeah.
So when you talk to the people, they will give you the solutions.
Yeah, communication is one of these main mantra which most of the time we ignore. हमें लगता है कि नहीं होगा, but I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
communication.
Many quality circle solutions, they also come from this route.
Okay.
So
Innovations also, I think.
yeah, many of the quality circles, when the operator, they sit in a quality circle and they know that they are empowered to take these decisions. They take many of the small decisions which over the years, that accumulates, and that makes the plant at a, that puts the plant at a different level of productivity.
जब एक कोई डिसीजन का इम्पैक्ट बहुत ज्यादा होता है, नॉट इन hundreds and thousands, so in that case what is, how do you take those what are how do you take those decisions?
When it is a big impact decision, first thing is that it is to be well analyzed. So, sometimes pausing a little bit and analyzing is not a bad thing. But also, many of these big decisions, in a way, there are many actions which are to be done at the same time. When you break it down, you will find that there are many actions which are to be done at the same time. So in that case, it comes to the delegation. So first thing, whatsoever decision you need to take immediately. Don't have that analysis paralysis. You take certain thing, but you start the doing that. Second thing is that you delegate. Okay, you must delegate to the competent people. And third is that many which many people they fail is that you need to trust them. So, and one thing also is that when you have got a set of decisions and there is a implementation plan, make sure that you have got a really good system to track all that. If somebody has missed one part of that, that could be the biggest that can affect everything. So all those nitty gritties you need to have, and you need to finish that. So that and also one more thing which at that time when I used to get sometimes over exhausted, and of course by that time I had developed my second level and third level, many of them. I used to tell them one thing: you don't come to me for permission. Okay, if you think that you need to do something right, just do it. Okay, as long as you just check 2 safety checks, you do that, there will be no explosion and nobody will die. Okay, if these criteria are done, okay, anything you want to do, do it. And after that, if it is a big failure, I'm going to take that. You need not worry. I'm going to take that responsibility. Just do it. Don't wait and waste time. And I'm asking the boss. So with that sort of things, what happens? Sometimes people feel empowered. They take decisions. They do take better decisions because they must make sure that there is no explosion. Nobody is going to die. That itself is very
Yeah.
big criteria in a complex company. But by that time also they get enriched.
My next question is how to build that trust, because sometimes it's very difficult to empower things to your subordinate. How that decision making you do, how do you develop that second generation decision makers who can actually work on behalf, and then you can entrust them?
No, see, when you work with people, automatically you know how capable they are. So when I work with someone, it is a constant scanning, whether the guy is competent, whether he's time conscious, whether is quality conscious, whether he's safety conscious. So that scanning is always going on. So after that, over the time, you develop a level of scoring. You know what he can do today, okay, what is his present capability, and what is his potential. So potential sometimes, uh, I tell also many others that you put, let us say you have got this person who is reporting to you and you want to give him some task. You don't give him task which is just 100%. You load him up to 120%. And if he's doing about 80% also, you should be okay. Okay, don't be too harsh if the person is doing around 80%. But if you are not giving 120%, maybe he will do 120%. So that is the way you know that he has got the potential. So to test the potential, sometimes you will have to load up to 120%. And many people feel very uncomfortable. I discuss with many leaders, they feel it is very uncomfortable. No, no, how can you do that? And all I say, no, if you are not doing that, rather you are becoming a bad boss for that guy. Giving a very soft platform, soft cushion is not going to build that person. And in the way you build your muscles by stressing it, by lifting the heavy weight. So allow that person also to do some heavy liftings at certain time, and that is quite important.
Yeah, as a boss, I think you have to do that, because most of the time we said boss is a good boss if he doesn't stretches us or
Stretches,
sort of
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah.
So in that
No,
way.
you need to stretch earlier so that when real stress comes, whether the guy will stretch or not.
Yeah, that is a good point. Mining and minerals, if as an industry we'll see, up to 2010, it was only contributing 2% to our GDP. We are trying to grow, but what do you think if we stop it? क्या impact होगा इंडिया में? Do you think there will be some major impact? 2% is nothing in a sense.
Yeah, see, the way now we have got a global crude oil crisis. The mining is also, if there is an interruption in mining, the the extent of it is going to affect will be more or less similar. Think about this: the mine will be having around maybe 20-30 days stock. The plant will be having another 20 or 30 days stock. So when these things are depleted, you will find a huge drop in the India's GDP. Right now, service sector is almost 55% of the GDP. That may be affected by almost 20% because there is not enough electricity, there is not enough transportation. All those things are going to affect the service industry. Manufacturing, which is almost 30% of the GDP, will be immediately affected. Within a month to 2 months, it will be all affected. So mining is like a backbone on which all these service and all these industries they are sitting. Think about coal. Most of the coal which is going from Odisha, it is going up to Punjab, and there the power plants are running, and that is supplying the electricity. So, with the type of effect it is going to do, I think, now let us say we are growing at a rate of 6 to 7%. GDP is growing at a rate of 6 to 7%. If mining is affected, it will come down to maybe 2 to 3%. That sort of effect is
Indirect
going to
effects
have.
are also substantial.
Indirect, yes. Or think in another way. Let us say you produce 1 ton of aluminium. A simple thing how it is going to affect on transport. 1 ton of aluminium, when you are producing, you are moving almost 13 tons of material. Okay, moving up the finished product, moving up alumina, coal, all that, if you see, it will be at least 13 tons. So starting from transport to the other mining and all those areas to the market, all that will be affected. When you make a ton of steel, I think you do around 8 to 10, minimum 8 to 10 tons of material you are moving. So all of that is going to be affected. So it is going to be tremendous effect.
So, though we are scale wise, we are almost 1/10 of what China is doing, at least in steel, I know.
Yeah.
But the first initially during earlier our discussion, जैसे हमारी बात हो रही थी कि we as an Indian technological benchmarking में we are okay, production figures में भी we are okay.
Yeah.
So there is still a lot of hope that we can actually match, even if not capacity, at least efficiency wise, we can actually do much better.
Yeah.
In terms of India.
True.
So now coming to Odisha, so what do you think that in Odisha we should do, because all our reserves, there are many reserves here, but what we should do better to attract more investment or do a better, any insight, because you are actively participating in CIA also. What is your take? If you are made a CAM for one day, so what are the major steps that you will take for state of Odisha?
Okay, see, Odisha is already, like Bhubaneswar is known as the aluminium and steel capital of the country. Because if China is number one in production of aluminium and steel, India is number two. And most of almost 60 to 70% of that steel and aluminium that is produced in Odisha. So Odisha has got an importance on that. And also when it comes to the coal to power generation, Odisha is also at the forefront. So all these industries, they need, of course, we have become a very mineral dependent industry we are having, but from that we have the opportunity to diversify. Uh, More diversification into many other areas, chemicals and other areas we can diversify. And if you think, okay, one day what you can do, maybe you can't do too much on a day, but if you think about the long term, facilitating all these industries to grow and training our people to have the right skills to fill these positions, that is that is a very important area. Think about 6 to 7% growth of industries, and when it comes to mining and manufacturing, we are almost at 17%. From that, we want to reach 25%. So manufacturing and related growth, it has to be more than 7% to maintain that average of 7% GDP. That means it has to grow around 10% or so. And in fact, recently the report was that Odisha's growth of GDP was almost 11%. So 11% means every 6 to 7 years, you need to have the double the capacity. So you can, with machines, it is very easy. You can open more mines. You can build any plant. Nowadays, it takes any plant almost other than maybe a nuclear power plant and all, it will take 3 years. In India, you can build a plant in 3 years. But training the people who are going to run all these complex operations, having the know-how, and at a certain stage, having the know why. So that is going to be a challenge. And the guys who are going to do these things right, okay, then only they can sustain the growth. Now we are talking about Viksit Orissa 2036, 10 years from now. Or we are talking about make in India, ease of doing. All these things are giving us the opportunity to grow at a very fast rate. but skill level growth
Yeah.
is seen as a area
Bottleneck.
we are struggling, but that has to be done in a very, very fast manner.
Yeah, it is very important because I think a few days back I was also discussing with
Yeah,
another steel veteran leader. So he was also pointing the same thing. What
yeah.
is happening is uh, they are not getting people in pellet
Mm,
industry because
mm,
pellet now we are expanding after beneficiation steel iron ore pellet.
yeah,
So the now the capacity is around 120, and we have now the government is pushing for this low grade ores to be processed. So
processed.
we will
Yeah,
have more pellet plant, but we don't have skill.
yeah,
That is only because that's because we haven't generated that much of skill over the
mm,
period. We might be having something in the downstream steel and the probably mining in the
yeah,
बीच में वो
yeah,
strata में
yeah,
नहीं है हमारे.
yeah.
So that's a
That is
very
one thing. Then the other thing is also, so here we are talking a little bit on the lower level of the things. But if you think about a little bit higher level things, as we were discussing, our ore quality is deteriorating because we have
yeah.
taken the rich ones. That means in that area, you need really talented, innovative people to find the way how you can enrich those minerals so that it can be used in the industry. That is one area. The other area is, uh, you know, sustainability. Whatsoever you are doing now, to remain globally competitive, you need to think about sustainability. If you have not done the decarbonization, if your water consumption is not proper, your energy consumption is not all right, so whatsoever material you are producing, so it goes with that tag,
Mm.
that is it produced sustainably. So for that you need lot of new high level skills. Maybe the way the electrolyzers for hydrogen generation, they are being, that is a PhD level people, many people are working now because it is at the edge of innovation. So a lot of new knowledge is being generated, and that is being translated, and that is being put in the practice.
Mm.
So those things must be in Orissa. That means not only the lower level skilled people, the higher level people, they must also be increased. And when so many things are coming up, also you will need that many technically qualified managers to run these plants. So just having a MBA and all, that will not be enough. The guys must have the technical knowledge, and with that an MBA and some practical experience.
Yeah.
So we are going to run thin up these resources rather than opening a mine and all that.
Mm.
So those areas are quite important.
Yeah, I think very well put. So, just related to this is that you mentioned about the technology. I also know that you are in the board of two startups. So, what do you see, like, in Orissa, what is the startup ecosystem right now, and how they can actually enable the mining and mineral processing ecosystem, or even in general deep tech?
Yeah. So I see that many of the startups in Orissa, they are related to IT. Okay. Whereas if you compare Orissa, the area with whom which you can compare is most likely Australia. They have
Yeah.
got also a lot of mineral resource. They are, I think, China is number one. I think Australia will be maybe number two in terms of mining and mining industries. So in Orissa, we have got barely any startup, very few like yours, okay, who are working in this core area. There are plenty of work in these areas, okay, mineral beneficiation to doing high level surveying in different ways, uh, providing uh, solutions which are related to maybe lubrications, all those areas, doing improving the transportation systems, all those areas, providing the services to these big companies. There are plenty of opportunities in these areas, and I see very few companies active in this. At least yours is there. I know another two, three. So I think it is not even 10. At least I don't know. Maybe
Mm.
there may be more, but I don't know. So this is one area. Whereas if I see my colleagues who were working earlier in South Africa and Mozambique, and many of them they have migrated to Australia, almost all of them are are engaged in these mining companies. They are not. So the top two Australian companies are BHP Billiton, BHP, and Rio Tinto. They are not directly employed there. Many, very few of them are directly employed, but the others are. They are working in small companies which are giving service to these giant companies. So why not the same ecosystem here, working for Vedant, Hindalco, and Tata, and of course JSW and others, JSPL. We've got plenty of these companies, but the small companies are not there.
Yeah.
There is a big gap there.
Is that because, do you think, the innovation that happens in B2B segment, this is a B2B segment in the core industry, that innovation that happens, even if there are big companies, it will be difficult to sell on the ground, implement. Is that the case, that you think it is the big companies, core industry, are slow to adopt new changes? Is that what your view is?
See, it is not that they will all come with the innovative products. They can outsource some of the smaller jobs to the new companies. Like there is a company with which I did a bit of consultancy at one time. Their job was just to de-bottleneck, to go to a company, to go to a mine rather, and look at the areas where they can de-bottleneck. That is the only thing they were doing. So it doesn't need a lot of innovation, a lot of data crunching, understanding that data, understanding the mine, and then suggesting these debottlenecking projects. So many of those things can be done. I think maybe we don't have too many entrepreneurs in these areas. The entrepreneurs who are there, they are not connected to this. And anyway, the way I see our MSMEs in Odisha, they are all crying because they say that the environment is not good. And I am hearing that for last 10, 20 years. Uh, okay, so I think they have got some inherent problems where they need a lot of hand holding and support. They may not need any support. I think the genuinely whatsoever they need, and that the way the government has to support, they must support. That's I think that itself will be a big benefit to them.
So we will start a rapid fire. I have some
Okay.
questions. I
Okay.
want you to give one word answer,
Okay.
if possible.
Yeah.
So
Or one sentence.
or one sentence. Yeah. One thing industry को तुरंत change करना चाहिए.
I think innovation.
One underrated aspect of mining.
The way it affects GDP.
One overhyped narrative in industrial growth.
All this Biksit Bharat and all those numbers I have back calculated. They are looking very ambitious.
People versus technology, harder to manage. Which one is harder?
People are always harder to manage. Industries you can run with an SOP, but for people there are no SOPs. Every person behaves in a different way, and that has to be mastered.
One word for India's industrial future.
It's bright. We are doing great, and I think that that force will continue to give us the right place in the world.
Thank you, sir. Thank you
you.
so much. It was wonderful speaking to you. I
Thank
thoroughly enjoyed, and I hope you also enjoyed the discussion, and our viewers will also like our discussion.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.